ready? We're already recording? Okay. I'm going to call this to order at 8:15. We have roll call.
Arnold,
Here.
Beckwith,
Here.
Farcapisi, absent. Hamilton,
Here.
Kotsini,
Here.
Linsdal,
Here.
Sutton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay.
Attention please, the Washington Public Library is pleased to offer express walk-in service at this time. To ensure the safety of both patrons and staff, you must wear a mask over your mouth and nose at all times. Social distance by staying 6 feet or more apart. Thank you for helping us keep the library open to serve you.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, anyone want to speak in public comment? There's no written correspondence, right?
No.
Okay. So we're on to 503.
You want me to lead off here?
Yeah.
So first of all, a couple different drafts of this. So Joe was able to take the feedback of the board and really improve this policy. Under scope, I added that sentence. And I know that local, endemic, global, pandemic, like endemic indicates local, pandemic indicates global, but I thought that,
Actually, if I can
No.
jump in,
please, George, yeah.
I think the word you're looking for is epidemic. Endemic means a disease that's just in the air all around us all the time. Think measles, mumps, rubella, not something that's actually running rampant right now.
Okay.
So we might want to change that word.
Yeah, I think you're right. But the reason I added local and global, because I don't think people really, clearly, I don't even understand those terms. So I think I wanted to add some context to those terms. But we can, obviously, if the board disagrees, we can take those away. And I wanted the local epidemic to be included in here because it could be something that is just local to us, as far-fetched as that might be. Because I felt it was important to add this because when staff looked at this and asked questions, and the board asked the same question. Catherine, I think you asked the question, does that mean that we're going to require staff to get flu shots or something like that? The idea is this policy would only be relevant when there is something like this COVID-19 global pandemic. So,
I have to say, Catherine, when I went to edit after the last meeting, and that was your input, it was magical, because the minute I took out everything that you had referred to, it just gelled in a way that it was really great. So it was a really great idea. I appreciate it.
Plus, the way this is worded now gives us flexibility if we have another bird flu or Zika.
Yeah,
or
which was exactly her point, yeah. Well,
say that.
not the bird flu, but. So anything else on this part? Okay, let's go to the exhibits.
yeah, so one of the things, when we went back and looked at our request for accommodation form, it didn't really seem to fit the exemptions that we put in the policy, medical or sincerely held religious belief. So, but the issue with the exhibits we put in, they're specific to COVID-19. And that's what we don't want with this policy. And I don't know how I'd like to get this policy enacted so we can have the second discussion in our new business about the COVID-19 vaccinations for staff. The idea of vaccinations or having staff provide a negative COVID test. So,
Well, I don't know that you're ever going to know all the possible things that could come up. So is it so horrible if we just have one for the current pandemic? I mean,
And every
Yeah.
year we can review it like we
Yeah,
do a
if you don't
policy.
need it, I mean, you get rid of it. That's part of what we do when we look at the policy.
That's
anyway.
just what I was gonna say.
I mean, I don't, it's just a thought, guys. It just seems to me like,
Okay, let me just think about this. What if we,
I really like it the way it is, honestly.
You like having the COVID-19,
I like having
Piece there.
COVID-19 and other examples and the possibility that it could be something else.
yeah.
all right,
Because it
so
means
what
in the
if I
future we don't
change
have
the
a policy.
description of the reasonable accommodation to make that clear? That the policy or the, what are they called? The exemption is relevant to this particular situation, and that will, in
This
another
current
situation, the
situation, yeah.
form will look different, or something like that. So that it's clear that
It's a
this is
current
not an
situation.
all-purpose, right. So then the one that's specific can stay.
Okay.
Huh?
Does everyone like that?
Yeah.
Everyone's good with that?
mm-hmm.
So that way we could pass this as it is, right? Or
So
So then
approve-
exhibit A would be specific, Joe, to, you lost me a little bit.
Well, what I'm saying is I would change the description of reasonable accommodation and the description of the form to say that a form would be unique to the situation. And that this one that's attached is unique to the current situation, or I don't know, I'll have to think about it, but, so that the
So that this one
description.
is for COVID-19.
Particular.
Correct,
And that
yes.
there
And
may
then if
other,
there's one that comes for
somewhere down the road,
avian
there may be
flu
something
or
else.
something, then.
Right, that's what I thought I just said, but yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
that's what I
sorry.
meant.
Yes,
Does that
I
sound
think so,
reasonable?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so has everyone had a chance to look at the forms? Because these
Yeah.
were put here tonight.
In making the forms up, did we have a
Yeah.
template from someplace else?
Yeah, these firms are from HR Source,
Okay.
who we work with, and they're
Pretty
put together by an attorney,
That's what I
employment
thought.
attorney, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
In some of this, like, the employee must submit the medical documentation, but doesn't it actually come directly from the medical professional?
And, oh, for the,
Like on the bottom of page 1, exhibit A?
let me take a look.
Maybe if we just get rid of the you, just that the things are submitted, maybe not specifically by who.
Can I make a suggestion? On page 2 of the actual policy, we reference Exhibit A and Exhibit B. Let's remove the exhibits and say, must submit a completed request for accommodation form provided by staff, or provided by the Human Resources Generalist. So that basically Ryan has more control over the form itself.
Okay, what do people think of that?
Could you say that again, George?
Okay, so remove Exhibit A and Exhibit B.
Okay,
Must submit a completed request for accommodation form, parentheses, provided by the Human Resources Generalist, end paren, to the Human Resources Generalist.
And then these are just controlled.
And then these forms are just examples. And if there is a reason to change the example, we don't have to retouch the policy. That remains an administrative function.
So leave these in as examples, but not as
the form
exhibits.
itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah, what do you think, that's good?
Sure.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
You like that, Ryan?
I do.
Yeah, I
yes.
think that's a great idea. Okay, I'll work on that. Now, the only thing is, if we're going to,
Well, the policy itself, we've only made, if you look at it, 4 edits.
Yeah.
right, but if I'm going to change, oh, I see. So,
Yeah.
just to be clear, where I'm taking out the blue exhibit A and B, and the next sentence says,
So here, let me.
accommodation form provided by the human resources generalist.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So who would like to make a motion to approve as amended?
I move we approve Personnel Policy 503, vaccinations, as amended.
I'll second that. Discussion? You want a roll call on this since it's a brand new one? Or don't you care?
Probably not a bad idea.
Okay, let's have a roll call. Thank you, Gina.
Katsinis,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Arnold,
Aye.
Linsdau,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Andre Farkapisi, absent. Ayes have it.
All right.
You did catch that change from endemic to epidemic as well?
Yes, I did. I got that. Yeah, I have it. All right, so now you want the next motion?
Yeah, to talk about the COVID-19 vaccinations for staff. So this is something that we've been talking about for a while, and it's kind of it has been a struggle for me in terms of what we should do as an organization to balance, keeping our staff safe, the public safe, while also respecting the rights of staff. So I think this is the, kind of the path forward to ensure that we're keeping everybody safe. And I think that, this is the right decision for us to make in terms of how to handle this whole vaccination thing. So my proposal is to do not unlike the model that, the state is doing with healthcare workers or educators. We're asking staff to get the COVID-19 vaccination. In lieu of that, provide a negative COVID test weekly to WNPL is what I'm, asking the board to consider. And this would start perhaps, October 1st to give everyone a chance to adjust. We're still looking into how the weekly testing would work. We know there are some places we could send staff. For example, Shield, Illinois has a location at CLC Grace Lake campus. Staff could go there and get a test. I'm talking tomorrow to the person that runs the COVID testing at Gurney Mills, which is drive-through. I want to make it as easy as possible for staff that aren't vaccinated to get a test and provide negative results. So I just think this is, I don't want to say this is win-win. I know that there will be some staff that aren't happy about it. And on both sides, there are staff I know that feel strongly that we should require everybody to get the vaccine or you can't work here. And then there are staff I know that, why is the library even talking about this? This is totally my decision. No one has the right to tell me what to do, anything. I have my own reasons. I don't want to get the vaccine. And I think this is a way for us to protect ourselves as an organization, ensure that, staff are staying as healthy as possible. And if they're sick, they're not getting anyone else sick. And then it's not a win-win, but I think it's the best path forward. And it's just a bad situation, however you look at it. So that's my recommendation to the board for us to say, starting, say, October 1st, that staff should get a vaccination or in lieu of that, provide a negative COVID test weekly. So any questions, comments, concerns?
Are you putting any parameters around the type of test? Or are you going to accept any test?
Catherine, that's a good question. That's still something I'm learning about and looking into, honestly. So I don't have an answer right now. So that's a great question. I don't know.
They're not all created equal.
Equal,
Right,
that's right.
right.
Mhm.
And, well, they test for different things, and they're used in different ways, right?
Yeah. And we're also limited, because I've talked to a couple of people because my thinking was, okay, can we have someone come in and test on a regular basis so we know the caliber of the tests we're getting, but it's just cost prohibitive, and honestly, those companies that do that, we're just too small. We have such a small number of people, it's not worth their time. So we'll have to send staff to an outside vendor or partner with someone. So yeah, these are all good questions, and we're, like I said, we're not prepared to implement this because we still haven't figured out the testing piece. So
Catherine, what's your opinion of the home test?
I used one today. That's the testing regime we use at Abbott, is the rapid test. It's proctored, right? They have it set up with a nurse, but I use the home test and it's pretty easy. My 3-year-old didn't like it, but I wanted to know. We test once a week at work and once a week at home, so it's a little bit more frequent than weekly.
Okay. And is it the same testing, if you don't mind me asking, do they, at Abbott, do they use the same test as the home test, or is it
Yep,
it's different?
it's the
Yeah.
same test. Yep.
Because I've seen it in the store, the Abbott test, yeah.
The library will close in 30 minutes. Please bring any materials that you would like to take home to the checkout desk. Thank you for visiting the Warren Newport Public Library.
It has the advantage of being quick, easy, and cheap, but not as accurate as the PCR testing.
Well, it's a different
Exactly.
kind of test, so
Mhm.
yes.
Would the cost of the test be covered by the library, or would
Yes.
the staff member need to cover it?
Yeah, but by law, if we ask for it, we have to pay for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's worth the money.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion?
Do you just have a plan then when you get that positive test, how to get them back in?
Yeah, we'll follow the
Maybe some
guidelines
guidelines.
that
Yeah.
are out there, yeah. And I
And
can't
any-
pretend to know them off the top of my head. And even if I did today, it probably will change tomorrow. So, but yeah,
Because you
we're,
will, right? You will have
Right.
positives or.
Right.
do, yeah.
yeah, but we have guidelines, and Jen Hoy, our human resource generalist, is kind of the guru for keeping on top of that stuff.
I just feel like this is the least invasive way to
Yeah.
go about doing it and having everybody feel protected. You know, I don't see any other way out of that,
Right.
so.
And we're not really doing anything different from schools and,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Well, schools are, you have to,
Yeah.
vaccinate, so, and they
Yeah,
have a
I was
big
asked to
protocol.
upload my proof of vaccination to the HR part of my work
Yep.
website last week.
Our schools are getting to do I'm calling it the spit test, but, you know, all teachers are gonna be submitted to that once a week, so, even if you're vaccinated,
Yep.
so.
Yeah, and honestly, too, when you go down that road of, requiring vaccinations for everyone, if there, there are exemptions, and I don't want to put us in the position where we have to, we did a survey of staff, and we know based on the survey, there are at least a couple of staff that, for medical reasons, are unable to get the vaccine, and one for sincerely held religious beliefs. And, I don't think we want to go down that road of having someone fill out and determining whether the sincerely held religious belief is
Right.
valid or not. I just think that gets way too messy, and it's just,
Invasion of privacy
yeah,
as well.
honestly,
Right.
I
No.
think so, so.
Yep.
They would still be required to wear a mask regardless of if vaccinated individuals don't, right?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
that's where
Good
that's how we were doing it before, and then when we restored the
Yeah.
mask requirements, everyone, whether you're vaccinated or not, you're wearing a mask, yeah.
Okay, so we're ready for a motion. Who would like to make it?
I move that staff must get the COVID-19 vaccination or provide a negative COVID-19 test result weekly to WNPL,
I second it.
You want to put a starting date on that, Catherine?
effective October 1st.
Discussion? Let's have a roll call, Gina.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Katsinis,
Aye.
Linsdau,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Arnold,
Aye.
Farkapisi absent, Beckwith,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Okay. I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. 8:34.
8:34.
8:34. Thank you, everyone.
Ryan and,
Thank you.
and Joe, I want to,